In this video, I'm going to show you how I finished this bench seat with this hardwood flooring. And we're going to do it right now. Here I am in my mudroom where I have made these built-in cabinets. And as you follow them down, they're sitting on this frame that I built to help support them. But this is also going to be a bench seat, which I'm pretty excited about. Got a ton of storage here. The kids can sit here, put their shoes on, storage underneath, and I just want to make this look nice, so I am going to use this 4-inch hardwood flooring. This is hickory, and it's unfinished. I did a similar project in my pantry where I made a countertop out of this stuff. I have a different idea in my head for this, and I think it's going to come out even nicer. So this is the mock-up piece that I am thinking for the nosing in the front. It's going to hang over 1.5 inches and kind of look like that. Please excuse these miters, but this is kind of what it's going to look like. And then the flooring will go into this and obviously up to the cabinets. This is a little short for my liking. I don't want this so wide that I'm not going to be able to reach into the built-ins easy, but I need it a little bit bigger. So I'm actually going to add a 2x4 out here, and then this will end up being kind of like that, which will end up making this just about a 16-inch bench seat. And I'm going to be happy with that. When we were choosing a material for the countertop in the pantry, we came across this stuff, and one, we really liked the look of it, and it was cheaper than, say, butcher block countertop, and the bundles had a pretty good discount on them. But I think I figured out why, because I think they were actually returns. So I think somebody did a whole floor and then they put all of the stuff they didn't like in the bundles and then returned it. So I'm gonna have to sift through these, and there were no real long pieces. So I ended up getting this nice wide piece of hickory. It was actually rough cut, but I planed it all down, made it 3/4 inch, just like the flooring. And I'm gonna use this for the nosing, and I'll show you how. But first, I'm gonna add that 2x4 to bump that out just a little bit. This was actually a 2x6 that was ripped down, and it's gonna work perfect. Go right up even with the plywood. Hopefully I don't hit another screw. So I'm actually going to start with my nosing piece. So this actually works out where this is probably going to be about 4 inches, and I can overhang this a little bit. But I'm going to start by getting these taken care of, and then I'll see how much I have left over and how wide I actually want to make this. I'm shooting for 4 inches, but we'll see. So this board does have one nice straight clean edge. We're going to use that side to go against the fence, and we're going to put a 45 on here. First, I'm going to raise the blade all the way up. Here, just adjust on my 1st gen Ryobi table saw. And put it like that. We're just going to double check that 45. Oh, that is close. Let me try and get that to a perfect 45. I think that's going to work. Now I can lower the blade back down a little bit as long as it gets through here. So first piece I'm going to do is the bottom. So this has a 45 and a straight cut, and it's 1.5 inches to the long point of the 45. And it's going to go like this, just the way it is. So then I want to line that mark up so that it just barely touches that. Let's see, kind of like that. Then I can put my fence right there. I think that is going to be good. 1.5 inches to the long point of the 45. Now what that did was give me 2 nice 45s. so that I can use this one for the next piece. So this is also going to be 1.5 inches, as you can see from here, because it's 3/4 inch thick, 3/4, 3/4. And ideally, this I would run on the other side of the blade, but I am not running something this small through the blade. So, sorry. I'll mark 1.5 inches here, again, to the long point, right here. And I believe this ends up being almost like a triangle like that. Just about there. I'll mark this. My fence. And see where that lands. It's looking pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna go with it. So now I should have 3 pieces that should have a pretty nice 45-degree miter on them. A little tricky to line up, but something like that. Sweet. Now we can put this back straight, zero it out. So now I know that I want my piece to be the same width as the other flooring, which is 4 inches. I can set this to 4 inches. And then I can carefully run that small edge of the 45, the long point, up against this fence. I just don't want to damage it, so I'll be careful. Next, I'm going to cut a spline, which is basically just a piece of wood that you stick in here. It'll stick out a little bit. And then once I cut this groove into the nosing that I just ripped, it will hold this kind of together. I'll glue it, and it'll just keep it all in place and make a nice tight fit. This is 1/4 inch, just shy of 1/4 inch, and is 3/16 times 2, 3/8. Let's do 1/4 inch first, just a little shy. I'm gonna hold it like this, and that blade should be plenty for the next cut. I just don't want to rip a piece off of here and then try and rip that piece, because it gets a little dangerous ripping a piece that small. So we'll start like this. And then we'll do 3/8. Like that. And then I'm going to lower this blade so it just cuts the bottom piece. Now we can test fit it. We want it to be tight, but not super, super tight. It worked out pretty good. But now we need a groove on the nosing piece. First, I'm gonna set the blade height. Hold this like that, and then raise it up until it hits this. And I'm actually gonna go a little bit more just in case that. And then set this. Have this in here, move the fence over to either side. I'm gonna start right here. So I move the blade. I want it just back a little bit. This. Oh, I lined that up so that the top of the board was here. So remember, this is the top. So I'm gonna rip it just like that. If I line my flooring up, you can see I just care about this top, making sure that I have that there. So now I can sneak that blade over this way, do the rest of the groove, because that's perfect. And I think this will actually work out where I can go to the other side of that groove, just like that. And if I have to go back, take out some of the material in the middle, we'll be fine. So yeah, I gotta get that material in the middle out of there. So I could just scooch this over. And this would go in here, like that. And then my hardwood match up just like that. Now we can assemble this. Now I'm gonna take a wet paper towel just to get the dust off of here, and this will also help the glue to adhere. And this is the side we're doing right now. I'm going to assemble it all, and then I'll cut it to length. And I'm going to use a pin gun that shoots these teeny tiny pin nails, so you'll never see those when it's all finished. First, I'm going to glue it. We'll start down here. Don't need a ton. This stuff works really well. Okay. Now carefully, this is where it needs to go. Line up the end where I want it. This miter right here is the more important one, so that's why I'm doing it first. Pin nail right on the edge, adjusting it as I go. So the way this is going to work out is I'm going to have a little gap here, which I'm fine with this not being exactly 1.5 inches. I'm going to rip a piece to put in here. The alternative was to cut this smaller, and I didn't want to do that. So I'm totally fine with that. I'll just rip a piece here. Yeah, that's gonna be good. Now I'm going to put some brad nails in here right at the edge so that when I put my trim here, you won't even see it. I'm going to cut this, do one square end. Do the measurement. I want it tight, but not too tight. 75 3/4 strong, probably 75 3/4. Make sure I'm not going to run into any nails. Not the best way to cut this. I can test fit it. Ooh, that's nice. Cool. I'm going to make this edge not so sharp too. Just take that down a little bit. And before I go attaching this, I am going to sand all this and this at least to get it kind of where I want it, because it's going to be a little trickier once it's attached. But that's what I want. And then I'll have my 3/4 piece right here of pine. It'll be just enough overhang, I think. This last piece probably ripped down. Yep, good. I'm going to start with 80 grit sandpaper on my random orbital sander and do this bottom first. I'm going to take a pencil and lightly make a mark and run over this again with 80 grit till that pencil mark is gone. That way I know I'm sanding it even. Now I'll do the face, 80 grit. Do another pencil mark, 80 grit again. Some of these pin nails, I don't know if they're sunk in enough. That one might be, but I'm just gonna go around, give them a little tap in so I can fill them with wood filler. In case you're wondering, yeah, this is a dart. I knew I'd need it someday. Now I'm gonna grab some wood filler. This actually goes on pink and then it dries natural. It is stainable, paintable, and I'm just gonna go along and tuck some right into this 45 to cover any gaps. You might be able to do this to have 0 gap between your 45s, but that can be tricky to do. Looks pretty good. I'm just gonna let that dry. I'm gonna switch out sandpaper to 120 and sand this wood filler down, starting with the front. And then I'm gonna make a pencil mark, nice and light. Now I'm just taking a sanding block and just taking this sharp edge down a little bit. I don't want to use the random orbital because I have a feeling I might mess it up. I'm going to do the same thing with the top edge. May have missed a little bit with the wood filler. So when I go to finish the rest of this, I might add some, but as I get the bulk done now, it'll make it a lot easier. I'm going to put this where it's going to go. Like that. Split it in the middle because I want a small gap on the edges there. And then I just want to see where we're landing here. So that's 11 3/4, little strong, and 11 3/4. It's gonna end up being kind of like that. I'm gonna mark this so that I can glue it because we're gonna install this. I'm gonna do construction adhesive. This is really going to help to hold it here. And then just a little bit right here. Then we can install it. I can't really get clamps on this because of the overhang. So I'm going to use some trim screws to just pre-drill and then just barely get them in here so that it'll hold this piece down. I'm not going to put this spline in just yet. I'll put these in, sink them in far enough where I can still get that spline in. We'll give it a shot anyways. There you go. As long as I can get the spline in there, it does not need much because that construction adhesive is going to hold this in here nice and tight. I'm making a bigger hole for the head to just sink in just a little bit. I'm just going to clean up the excess glue so it's out of the way. So over here, this is nice and level, but as you work your way down, when I put the screws in, it kind of lifted this up a little bit. So I can't really get clamps straight down, but what I can do is get them at an angle like this and just hold it down and clamp it carefully. If I hold it level, tighten the clamp like that, should be good. A tricky spot. I'm sure there's some kind of way that you guys are screaming for me to do this, but that help that? Yeah, it's not bad. Perfect. Might not need these ones. Okay, now don't touch it, let it dry. So I left this overnight and let it dry, and now I can take these clamps off. No damage there, luckily. These have soft pads, but that ended up working out, and now this is perfect. And now we can continue the hardwood floor. So the way to attach this is through this tongue. If you have a floor stapler, you put it down like this, put the floor stapler here, and it shoots staples through like this. That's why I wanted to make sure I install it this way so I can get a gun in here and attach it. But before I put that spline in here that's going to connect these, I just want to get these pieces cut and make sure I'm good. I'm going to leave the same teeny tiny gap that I have here. And then on this side, this one, and then we'll cut this one. I'm just kind of picking my pieces as I go. Personal preference, really. Like that, and like that. Cool. Before I install this, I'm actually going to sand off all this dirt and this burn mark right here, because it's going to be way easier since it's so close to the wall. I'll do it now. I'm going to glue this in. Just making sure this sits in all the way. And I'll put a little glue in this groove here too. Well, there's a gap right there, so I gotta fix that. I'm going to put one nail here at an angle, not too close to the edge because I don't want to split it. And that is how you would secure it. These pieces are good candidates for screws because we got a gap right here in the middle. So I'm going to put a couple screws in and suck those in tight. Flathead screwdriver. Next, that one's nice and tight. So with these ones now, I can't get the gun in there at the right angle, and I can't get the drill in there at the right angle. So what I'm gonna do is use this adapter to drill and then put screws in. Perfect. It looks like I got 3 3/4 to here. So if I did like 3 1/2, that would work. 1/4 inch gap. 3/4 will cover that, but I'll check it all the way down. I'm gonna do 3 5/8. Now we can pick our pieces. It's gonna go like this. Wow, that's a long piece. We'll work over here. Yeah, I like to stagger the seams. That's a little too close for me. Something like this. That's good. This one's a little darker, which I like. It has the grain. That one there. A flat bar. Work this in here. And I'm just going to sneak some brad nails in the back. enough so that when I put this down, it'll cover them. Make sure it's tight. Some of them I have to slam, and then some of them they're going way too deep. So the hardwood is installed, and now I'm going to sand my face off, basically. There's some spots that are a little high, and if it's really bad, you could start with something like 36 grit to get this nice and even and flat. I'm gonna start with 80, and that should be good. I might have to go down to 60. But when you're sanding this, make sure that you do it evenly and with the same grit sandpaper. So I'm going to be switching between a belt sander, an orbital sander, and a palm sander, but I'm going to make sure that I have the same grit each time I do this, because let's say you do this with 80 grit and you do this with 150, then this, when you stain it or poly it, is going to look different than this. It'll like highlight it. So just sand it nice and even. After my initial sanding, where I get everything pretty flat, I'm gonna fill all this in with wood filler and make sure it's perfect. So I'm gonna put a fan in the window, start sanding. Make sure you're changing the sandpaper often. .80 grit on the random orbital and get tighter to the boxes and the wall. Everything is pretty flush. Coming along pretty good. I'm going to vacuum up all this sawdust so I can see any cracks where I want to fill with the wood filler. I'm going to use this plastic wood again. It seems to do a pretty good job. Trying to work it right into that groove. And I get any spots I missed on here. Wood filler is dried, ready to sand. And at this point, I'm probably gonna stop using the belt sander. And I'll sand this with 80 grit, then I'll jump it up to 120, and then finally 150. I cleaned up all the dust, and now that the dust has settled, I'm going to clean up the rest of this with a tack cloth. They feel terrible, but they really do a good job to get all the fine dust off of here. This edge came out nice. The whole thing came out nice. What are you talking about, Matt? There are so many different products out there, different brands, different types of polyurethane that you can use. I have had really good luck with this. I really like it. It is water-based and it is a satin finish. And that's what I want to do on here. It's pretty durable. Of course, you could get some really durable oil-based for this, but this is what I'm going to go with. First coat is done. And I'm gonna sand this with a fine sanding sponge, get all this raised grain off of here, make it smooth, put another coat on, and I'm just gonna repeat that process until I'm happy with the finish. So after 6 coats of poly, this has a nice thick finish that I think is gonna last a long time. And I ended up doing my face frames so you could see what it looks like with them and the trim under here. I think it came out awesome. So if you needed to do something like this, I hope the video helps, and stay tuned to see how I did these face frames and how I'm gonna finish this project. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Hey, gorgeous 3 pieces. That hood have that hood will not go slow. You will go fast. Oh, I hate that. Kind of hate it.
I can't even see it on the camera.
Really? Learned my lesson last time using glue and sawdust. I'm not doing this. Oops. Before I, oh my God. Why is that not a great scene? Why isn't that going? Oh, hello? It's not happening again, Lauren. This is, we're gonna get it. You coulda never shoot towards you. It's complicated. Birds of a feather, we stick together. Was that necessary? No, I'm sorry. I'll pick my pieces. Yeah. Is there even a nail in there? I don't think there's a nail in there. There we go. And now I just have to, I don't just have to, I have to sand and poly. Whoa, oh my God, whoa. This is gonna take a while. And the wife loves it, and that's what's important.